What's up, everyone? My name is Brian. You're watching DC Unleashed. We are talking about Superman. A new report coming out from James Gunn has some fans a little upset. Once again, this seems to be a pretty common occurrence for this movie. And we got to talk about it because I don't think it's as big of a deal as people think it is. In fact, I don't even think it's a bad idea. I think a lot of people have an interesting interpretation of what a double wide trailer looks like. So yes, we are going to be talking about double wide gate. Is Superman poor? We'll look at exactly what the Pa Kent family farm home looks like. Some images of the actual location and some of the comments being made by other people. And of course, what is being written online about it. Just so you know, in a couple days from this video, the new trailer drops. A couple days. Which means that on that day, I'm going to have a huge video where I break down every single frame. So if you're watching this now and you don't want to miss that video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the way to the comment section to give me your thoughts on this video. Also hit the alert button so you never miss a video, especially the video coming out this Wednesday. You don't want to miss it. So let's talk about Superman's new origins, where he grew up broke and poor, living in a trailer park, having to fend off wild dogs for his food. His mother was a meth addict. His dad was an alcoholic. He would sit on the porch and wonder what life can be like if you can only get out of the trailer park and get a good job. Anyways, none of that is accurate. A lot of people are painting it as that kind of depiction, but it's not. So let's look at exactly what's going on with the double wide trailer. So a lot of people, when they picture the Kent farm, they picture something like this. Right? Classic big red farmhouse. You got the silo here to the left. You got the actual house they live in right there. Beautiful, yellow, pristine farm with rolling fields of wheat and cattle and all that awesomeness that is a farm 50 years ago. And yes, there are still farms that look like this. Absolutely. Or more larger farms that look like this, where, there isn't even much living quarters. But a lot of farms nowadays, especially smaller farms, look more like this. Not bad. Pretty nice. That's a well-to-do farm. They've made some money. Cool. If you notice, that is a double wide trailer. Or let's look at some farms for sale. That's a farm for sale. Not as nice. Here's a farm in Missouri. Not as nice, right? It's pretty small, broken down. This was my favorite. Literally 2 trailers in the middle of nowhere. That farm is for sale. The thing is, nowadays, small single-family farms are not these sprawling multi-million-dollar estates. In fact, even successful farms that do a couple $1,000,000 in business every year are usually pretty cash poor because their money is often tied up in land, equipment, grain, employees, etc. In fact, smaller farms, which in the past were the backbone of the country, don't really exist in the same way. Most of the smaller farms are really operating season to season and just getting by. In fact, their paycheck is not going to be determined on how well they do leading up to their retirement, but when they retire and they sell the land, which is usually far more valuable than whatever crops or animals they produce. So in this day and age, it makes complete sense that Superman, aka Clark Kent, grew up on a small farm in Smallville that looks a little bit more like this. That's the actual filming location for the Kent farm. It is a double wide custom trailer, which is pretty common for people to use on farmland, which I totally understand. I also don't really care very much about the farm that Superman grew up at. It doesn't bother me that it's not some sprawling 1950s Norman Rockwell aesthetic. I'm cool with it. I completely understand that it's a more modern version of what a small farmhouse looks like. However, it does bother a lot of people. And, I think at this point, anything about this movie is going to bother some of these people. But let's talk about who it's bothering. This is from comicbookmovie.com. The headline reads, Superman director James Gunn confirms Kent Farm will be a double-wide trailer and not a farmhouse in the DCU. And goes on, following an extended break from social media, DC Studios co-CEO and Superman director James Gunn has answered a handful of fan questions, including one about whether Clark Kent is poor or from a middle-class background. Weighing in on the debate, Gunn shed some light on how he's approached the DCU's take on the character. This is what Gunn said verbatim. Our house in Superman is a converted double-wide trailer. I wanted his upbringing to reflect more closely the Missouri farmers I was raised around. This makes complete sense, and it's another example of the authenticity that James Gunn is bringing to Superman. He's talked a lot about making the Man of Tomorrow more relatable. Something that's often the case in the best comics revolving around the Kryptonian. Comic books such as All-Star Superman is a key source of inspiration for Gunn. Inevitably, some will see the word trailer and immediately find fault with Clark Kent not having grown up in the classic farmhouse that we see in comics and in shows like Smallville. However, in the real world, Jonathan and Martha Kent would need to be millionaires to live in the type of sprawling farms seen in Superman the movie and Smallville. Interesting enough, remember in Superman 78, as soon as Clark got a job at the Daily Planet, he requested that a portion of his check be sent to his mother in Smallville. So even his mom in Smallville wasn't a millionaire. She had to have been struggling a little bit if Clark wanted to send her money, right? All right, let's look at the other side of this. This is from Cosmic Book News on Twitter, or X. The account says, first online monkey trolls, then fake news, and mocking the Snyder Cut. Now James Gunn's Superman is broke? Gunn responded to a question on Threads from a fan asking if his Superman was poor, revealing that the Kent farmhouse is a trailer. Here's some of the comments from this. Wait, what? How is this supposed to be a hopeful all-American hero we were all asking for? James Gunn grew up in an upper middle-class suburb of St. Louis, Manchester, nowhere near Missouri farms. And here's from Chrissy, which is a friend of mine. The Kents were always poor in money, but rich in honesty, love, and family. Truth. Here we go. Warner Brothers Discovery stockholders. Guess what? I'm a stockholder. And WBD is up right now. So I'm not sure if that's an accurate reply. I'm assuming that they posted that before they looked at the stock price. Here we go. Jonathan 42069. This movie has literally nothing to do with Superman. Except for it's titled Superman. It's about Superman. It has all his Superman characters. And what are you complaining about? You're complaining that he grew up on a modern small farm and not some sprawling Norman Rockwell 1950s depiction of a farm? That's what you're worried about? Or the fact that there might be a couple seconds of mutant monkeys or whatever? Come on, dude. Here's a reasonable reply. Are we going to ignore that Snyderverse Kent family were also broke and Clark was clueless about it? Yeah, don't forget, Bruce Wayne had to bail out Clark Kent because they were going to lose the farm. So it's not like this is a big deal. And I'll be clear, I don't care about this in any way. But I felt the need to comment on it because people were asking me what I thought about the fact that he grew up in a small, poor farm. But that's actually accurate. He did grow up on a small family farm. And in 2025, a small family farm does not look like the multi-million dollar 1950s Norman Rockwell painting. It doesn't. So, to me, this is not only relatable, but it makes sense logically. So, I don't have a problem with this whatsoever, and I don't think you should have a problem with it whatsoever. That said, do not forget, on Wednesday, big giant trailer comes. The first actual trailer is what James Gunn said. He said, trailer number 1, even though we did already see a teaser and the behind the scenes footage and the first and 5 minutes of the film. So technically this is the first trailer and it's going to come out on Wednesday. James Gunn actually teased this yesterday. You can see it here. I've been waiting too long to share this with you. Full Superman trailer this Wednesday. And here's the clip. Cool. This Wednesday, I'll be here. As soon as it comes out, I'm going to spend like an hour breaking it down. I'm going to get every single Easter egg, every frame. That is all. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And on the way there, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the alert button so you do not miss the massive video I'm going to make on Wednesday that breaks down every frame of the Superman trailer. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to see it. And I hope that you guys can join me. Stay super, my friends.
Comes the